What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from Taipei. Taiwan's Coast Guard has reported more Chinese vessels in Taiwan's restricted waters. These sightings come as tensions soar in the Taiwan Strait, with multiple maritime incidents between the two countries in recent months. Tsai has the latest.
发现大陆渔船，本艇目前准备进行广播驱离，因海象不佳，本艇实施广播驱离。
Spotted in rocky, restricted waters off Taiwan's Penghu Islands, another Chinese fishing boat, one of 7 in the latest sightings by Taiwan's Coast Guard.
吴传明，该船为闽叉鱼叉叉叉号。
The fishing boats all had obscured names and breached sensitive borders, prompting Taiwan's Coast Guard to use radio warnings and water cannons to drive them out. Meanwhile, in the waters between Taiwan's northeastern coast and Japan's Yonaguni Island, a Chinese destroyer found within Taiwan's 24 nautical mile defense boundary, also known as the contiguous zone. Analysts say ramped up Chinese activity around Taiwan shows Beijing is becoming more forceful in its rejection of Taiwanese sovereignty.
军事手段来对台湾进行胁迫，甚至包括这种渔民就是疑似海上民兵的集体的这种作业，都会造成区域安全的这不稳定，这都反映出中共它这种复合式的战略，企图影响台湾的这个就是民心士气。
Taiwan-China tensions have been rising in recent months, with Chinese vessels found in Taiwanese waters around the outlying Jingmen Islands, Matsu Islands, Hsinchu, and now Penghu and Yilan. At the same time, Taiwanese fishers have also run into trouble. Recently, 2 people were rescued by China's Coast Guard after their boat lost power off Jingmen's shores. They're still in Chinese custody, facing delays in repatriation plans.
我们海巡联系的结果，对方表示说上面还没有做出决定所以还没有办法顺利的接回我们的2位民众。两岸合作的经验告诉我们，这个送还的过程并不是会构成
Deputy Minister Tsai also says China's willingness to help in this rescue mission is a positive development for cross-strait relations. But looking at the big picture, China's increased presence around Taiwan will still cause many here to keep a watchful eye. Andy Xue and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
President Tsai Ing-wen says that she will ask the cabinet to consider the establishment of a White Terror Memorial Day. President Tsai met with civic groups and victims of political violence to discuss their call for an official day to commemorate the victims of the White Terror. That's a 4-decade-long period that saw political repression under the Kuomintang's authoritarian rule. Advocates hope that dedicating a day to honoring the victims of the White Terror will prevent this history and its lessons from being forgotten.
记忆如果丧失的话，这个国家是没有历史的，而这一段历史如果被空白的话，那这个国家 The
government is considering whether to set up a special task force dedicated to the protection of children. This follows a high-profile case of a 1-year-old boy who died, allegedly at the hands of his nanny. John Van Triest looks at what's being proposed.
Brought to court, a nanny accused of killing an infant in her care late last year is being arraigned by Taipei prosecutors. Since news of the child's death went public last week, Taiwan has been on high alert for other suspected cases of child abuse. The central government says it may need to set up a task force to better protect children, including those who are in a nanny's care while waiting for adoption, like the infant was.
我们应该在中央政府呢相关的部会设置专责的这个机构来做一个总整的情形。 包括了像产前的照顾幼儿专责医师、儿童发展这个努力等等的这些方案
But child welfare advocates see the root of the problem in the nanny registration system and in Taiwan's social services, which they say are overburdened and underfunded. Fixing these issues would make other proposed changes more practical, changes like more regular checkups on children's welfare.
需要有一个保姆证更新的机制，政府去投入更多的经费，提高这些访视员或者是社工他们的薪资，增加员额，访视高，它可以去减少孩子被不当对待的机会。
But there's a rift between the central government and local officials over responsibility, especially when it comes to children up for adoption. The central government's Social and Family Affairs Administration has highlighted what it says were local officials' missteps in the case. Chief among these was a failure to check on whether the infant met criteria for being put up for adoption in the first place.
不过，它比较着重在整个案家的一个经济议题。那对于案童的出养必要性，是不是有进行评估？哈。
Local officials have defended their actions.
都是依照专业跟儿童最佳的利益来进行。事实上，按中央的法规，收出养的评估就是应该由 这个中央的所核准的收出养的媒合机构来进行。
But before Taiwan can crack down on child abuse, child safety campaigners say the government will need to turn ideas into concrete policies and sort out differences of opinion about where responsibility should lie. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Concerns are growing in southern Taiwan about planned TSMC plants depleting local reservoirs. Officials in Rinling County have spoken out about the need to conserve water resources there.
湖山水库当时兴建的一个基本的条件跟原则我想我们不能忽略当时民众的提出来的意见，我们是提供民生用水，并不提供工业用水。
Now, the first of the chip giant's packaging plants is set to open in 2028 in Tsai, and it's going to require around 36,000 tons of water each day. Tsai and Rinling County share water sources, and some locals worry that this plant will cause conflict over the limited resources. But Tsai's county chief says Taiwan's water is a national resource, and it shouldn't be guarded by local governments.
云林县的湖山水库 大概76%的集水面积是在嘉义县，所以我们希望大家为了台湾的整体发展，为了产业的发展，那我想我们应该要共享水源。
And in response, Taiwan's economy ministry says the TSMC plant will use mostly recycled water and desalinated seawater, and that facilities for those are in the works. A new report says Taiwan's air pollution is getting worse, with the country ranking 45th in the world and 3rd in East Asia. A report by private Swiss air quality company IQ Air measured particles in the air known as PM2.5 across 134 countries last year. It says PM2.5 in Taiwan rose 50% compared to the previous year. Now, Taiwan's Environment Ministry is disputing these findings. It says the report's measurements differ greatly from its own and that the country is ramping up efforts to reduce air pollution. Just a few days ago, Hong Kong passed a strict national security law expected to seriously erode the territory's democratic freedoms. Now, Taiwan lawmakers and Hong Kongers living here are calling for more protections for those who may be persecuted under this new legislation. Tiffany Wong reports.
抗议恶法通过，台湾各界挺香港，台湾各界挺香港。
Legislators from Taiwan's Democratic Progressive Party are standing with Hong Kongers, calling on the Hong Kong government to recall the new national security law known as Article 23, which was passed in Hong Kong's legislature unanimously just days ago. DPP legislators here fear that it will further deteriorate political freedoms in Hong Kong.
接下来港府会怎么使用？因为我们已经看到在前面的例子里面，港府非常夸张的恶劣的使用国安法来逮捕所有只是不听中共的话，或者是表露出一点想要追求民主意图的一般的人，或者是国会议员，都一样都被抓进去关了。
The new law expands the territory's already strict national security laws to target treason and external interference, as well as strengthening police powers. Beijing originally imposed a national security law on the territory in 2020, shutting down pro-democracy protests and causing thousands of residents, from political activists to artists to ordinary people, to flee. Some of those who have made it to Taiwan are asking for support for those still looking to escape.
希望台湾政府可以规划好他们地区的申请流程，定一个合理的薪资门槛。希望台湾政府让我们这些喜欢台湾的。 同样拥抱民主自由的香港人有一个明确、稳定的途径，可以留在台湾安心生活。
The new law goes into effect on Saturday, but the impact can already be felt in the spirit of Hong Kongers here as they watch their old home change drastically and hope that their new home in Taiwan can remain safe from Beijing's influence. Eason Chen and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The UK and Australia have signed a new defense treaty amid growing concerns over China's increased military capabilities. Ministers from both countries toured an Australian naval shipyard after signing the agreement. This new treaty obliges the two countries to consult each other if faced with foreign threats. It's the latest sign of strengthening defense ties between Canberra and London following the AUKUS agreement to supply Australia with nuclear submarines that was signed together with the U.S. in 2021. With just 4 months to go before the 2024 Paris Olympics, Taiwanese star long jumper Lin Yu-tang is getting ready for the biggest leap of his career. Sandy Chi went to see how he's preparing for the Games.
Long jumper Lin Yu-tang is used to making big leaps. After a slow start in a sleepy town in Taiwan's outlying islands of Penghu, Lin trained hard and landed himself on Taiwan's national team. Now he's bound for the 2024 Paris Summer Olympics. Long jump can be traced back to the ancient Olympics. Although the concept is simple, it requires timing, power, technique, and flexibility to pull off. Things 23-year-old Lin has plenty of.
你助跑过来，你还要去上板，因为像我们有时候可能速度太快，我们的肌力可能没有办法承受住我们可能跑过来10秒，然后我们要瞬间停下来踩板，把它转换成垂直起跳。
Lin is Taiwan's top long jumper and the country's best hope to win the first Olympic medal in the sport. In 2023, he broke the national long jump record at the Asian Athletics Championships when he cleared 8.4 meters. That would have been enough to secure bronze at the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. But Olympic glory is still a tall order for the shorter-than-average triathlete.
我国小升国中那时候只有应该不到150公分吧，因为我们那时候就是纯有点像练开心的吗？就国小的时候，就是我们利用下课时间大家出来运动这样子。
Lin makes up for his height with his work ethic and determination. Strengths that caught the attention of his coaches.
玉堂应该是说他是一个非常有运动天分的选手，虽然说他个子不高，但是他的身体的一些机灵反应能力都特别的好，再加上他也蛮聪明的。
Lin has worked with different coaches who've pushed him to go the distance.
我觉得说我喜欢他就是其实蛮自由自在的啦，然后每天可以玩沙，其实技术层面也算蛮高的。你要跑啊加跳，其实它结合起来是我蛮喜欢的。然后到现在，我觉得我喜欢他的腾空感。
But all the running and jumping took a toll. Lin had to face his greatest fears at 19 when he snapped a nerve during training.
就是连走都不行，就是你脚踝一直都是朝下，你可能走路走一走就会，再说有石头或是有小凸的东西，你可能可以正常走过去没事。但是我是脚先是朝下，我会直接踢到，然后就可能摔倒。
Lin went through months of physical therapy. He was an Olympic-level runner, learning how to walk again.
那时候想说啊，练了这么久，突然这样子，我真的能恢复吗？因为其实我们受伤，我们不怕不练，我们只怕说我能恢复到哪一段的时期，我们运动生涯还有剩多久。
He used his recovery to work on skills and exercises that he neglected when focusing on jumping. He says support from his family, friends, and coaches pushed him through the hard times.
那时候我就觉得说，其实没有人放弃我的时候，有人相信我的时候，还没放弃我的时候，那我更不可以放弃我自己。还没到最后一刻的时候，谁输谁赢不一定。
With his coaches and family behind him, Lin will represent Taiwan at the 2024 Olympic Games. With just months to go until then, he's focused on one goal: making the leap into the finals. Luffy Lee, Patrick Chen, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us for What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Now, before we go, check out this massive collection of Hot Wheels cars and accessories owned by a Canadian Hot Wheels fanatic. I think I had a few of these as a kid. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. We'll see you later.